Hey everybody, it's good to be here at the Krusty Cantina. We got a real special show for y'all tonight, featuring my new best pal, this guy. He's an idiot.
I recently made a video talking about one of my favorite SpongeBob episodes called Pest of the West. I went into a little more detail about the story within the episode, but today I want to talk specifically about the song at the very end of the episode and something pertinent that is brought up by SpongeBob, and I think his name is Pico Patrick. I'm not entirely sure, but in any case, there's an important lesson to be learned, so if that's of interest to you, then stay tuned. This channel exists to encourage you to continue to be your best self through lessons that are primarily rooted in biblical and Stoic principles. To quickly recap the episode, it takes us on the journey of SpongeBob's ancestor, SpongeBob SquarePants, as he becomes the sheriff of Bikini Gulch and then goes on to save the town. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, what I want to focus on is the song at the very end of the episode. I am not entirely sure what it's called, but I would assume it's called Idiot Friends, because that's kind of what they say in the chorus of sorts.
Idiot friends, idiot friends,
Idiot friends.
Now, they start off the song by singing about things that Patrick has done for SpongeBob. The song mentions several acts taken by Patrick as if they're something note and praiseworthy, which seems perplexing at first, given a couple things that Patrick is credited with, namely smacking SpongeBob and putting thorns in him. But importantly and intentionally mentioned, Patrick's intent behind doing these apparent cruel acts were for the purpose of encouraging and helping SpongeBob save the town.
Who put thorns in you so you can save the town?
idiot friends, idiot friends.
Idiot friends.
Which he ultimately did do. Stands to reason that perhaps SpongeBob would have simply fell into a mental abyss of discouragement and then ultimately left the town, as he was on his way to do, so it seemed, had Patrick not encouraged him, even if harshly, maybe necessarily harshly. So yeah, what ends up happening in the story is SpongeBob is temporarily ran out of town by Deadeye Plankton, who is apparently this very formidable enemy of the town. And SpongeBob is found in the desert, and I'm not sure if this was confirmed in the episode or not, but I think he might be hallucinating because skulls on the ground are talking to him. Whether he's hallucinating or not, he was in the desert, and as I said, in this abyss of discouragement. And just as he's about to saw his coffin that he was riding in half, that's when Patrick comes up to him and starts to talk with him, and then ultimately encourages him and tells him, "Is like, yeah, we gotta go save the town." And yeah, again, he smacks him, which is harsh, but within doing that, and then later going on to have them to have SpongeBob and himself jump off of a cliff onto a cactus, which ouch. But both those things were done, as I said, specifically for the goal of encouraging and helping SpongeBob to get back to town so he can save it. And again, he did so. So the idea is that it will sometimes be necessary for you to be encouraged or challenged, even in unpleasant ways. If so, let yourself be encouraged. And you also will sometimes need to be the one to encourage a friend in need or any individual. And when that time comes, do your best to encourage the one who needs it, even if it needs to be done somewhat harshly, but still within reason, all right? The context of needing to slap someone to encourage them is probably almost unheard of, but who knows? And this idea has been a recurring one for me as of late. I actually got to see Jordan Peterson at a recent tour date of his. The talk he gave was great. I mean, every aspect, it was perfect, down to the last minute detail. That quote from that show. But there were a few things in particular that he mentioned that stuck out to me. One of them being that on the road to what calls to you, even on the journey to walking out what you think God has for you, You must first go through hell before you see the full fruition of what you're striving for. Some examples he was basing this idea off of was Jonah being tossed over the sea and swallowed by a big fish or beast before he went on to have a part in saving the town of Nineveh. Town, city, I'm not sure. He also talked about Moses and the children of Israel wandering in the desert for 40 years before seeing the promised land. And also he talked about Job losing all he had and later gaining double what he previously possessed. All that to say, if you're the one in need of some kind of encouragement or whatever it might be, to spur, is spur the right word? Yeah, we're talking about Western stuff anyway, okay, because this episode's like a Western thing. So yeah, spur you on. So yeah, even if it takes a harsh encouragement or if there's some trials you gotta face, stuff you have to go through, don't be discouraged by that. And I say this because it would be easy to be discouraged. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. I believe this is true. That being said, acknowledge this truth, but let yourself be encouraged by it. I mean, you're still here. You haven't given up completely. And then if a God-sent friend comes along to encourage you, then receive it. And also acknowledge that anyone could currently be acting courageously by even continuing to function at all. Always be mindful of that possibility, and therefore always be an encourager. The point being, it's like with Patrick in the story, it was pretty clear that SpongeBob was in need of encouragement, but again, some people are good at, and maybe they've just had to practice it, acting as if they're in a better mood than they actually are. And I think we all should practice that. But in any case, always be willing and able to encourage someone like Patrick was able to do. Once again, it doesn't always require slapping, but you get what I'm saying. But encourage one another daily as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. I would argue that it is oftentimes, probably most of the time, your responsibility to encourage yourself, particularly in the Lord, even as King David did. As it says in 1 Samuel 30, verse 6, David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. But David found strength in the Lord his God. That being the case, it seems to me that encouraging someone could therefore be a way of carrying their burden, just as Patrick did for SpongeBob. So once again, it's noteworthy that the song that was sang at the end of the episode is talking about Patrick slapping and putting thorns into SpongeBob or SpongeBob, I should say, as if it's something note and praiseworthy, but in a way it is, because that encouragement, though harsh as it was, led SpongeBob, and it was what he needed in order to go on to save the town. So the point being, maybe you'll need some harsh encouragement sometimes, and if so, then, if it's a true friend, it says in the word, wounds from a friend can be trusted. So then the further questions are, what exactly is a wound in this way, and what is a friend? But at a base level, I think you can acknowledge the truth of it. Wounds from a friend can be trusted. So, like in this way, it's like, okay, SpongeBob was literally, now maybe the verse isn't talking quite as literally, but in any case, with this example, SpongeBob received physical wounds from a friend, but again, it was to spur him on to do what he had to do. So again, yeah, if you're down so bad that you need another individual to encourage you, then certainly receive it, and don't be closed off to that encouragement. But also, again, acknowledge that many people are in need of encouragement, so always be able and willing to give it. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps you in some way. Be sure to check out my previous video. It was about Free Guy, and essentially the lesson in that video was to... actually, I'm not going to tell you. Go watch it, but just watch the whole video. It's like an hour long. Not actually. It's like 2. But that, in any case, yeah, you just watch it. Yeah, essentially he's just talking about the fact that you get to choose who you are. And I go into detail about that, and I think it's important. So, yeah, do check it out. Can't remember if I said thank you for watching already, but whether I did or didn't, thank you so much for watching. Again, I hope that this helps you in some way, so apply it today and wherever and whenever applicable. Remember to treat others the way that you want to be treated, and to love God and love your neighbor, and therefore you will be your best self. For the final time, thank you for watching, and as always, it's an honor.